Hey guys, welcome to the channel again. So following up from my 10,000k service, I thought we'd have a chance to have a look at the bike now at its 20,000k's. So just kick it into life here. We're on 19,950 kilometers. If we go into the trips, 5,500 kilometers, averaging 4 litres per 100 kilometers. So that's about what it's sitting at. Really happy with the Scott stamper. That's proved to be really great. Just dial it up a few if you're in a situation where the front is getting a little twitchy. I haven't touched the high speed or the centering. Recent additions, I've put the folding mirrors on so you can fold them out of the way for off-road. I've also added the Garmin Zumo, and it's mounted on pretty much the same plane as the tyre pressure monitoring system and everything else. Under the seat, we've got the, that's where my toolkit resides, on top of the flap, and I've got the pre-filters, so I don't see any necessity to do anything more than that. That works very well with the twin skin filters. The other ones I keep in a plastic bag for when I go away on trips, and they're already pre-oiled, and there's gloves in there. That's the oil that I use, FFT. The MST kit up the front is just rock solid. I haven't got the cover yet, but other than that, it's all finished. Everything's pretty much finalized in there with my plugs and everything. The side plate, which just stops it from moving, makes it much more solid. So one screw there on either side, and the screen comes off and you can access everything. I've got the straps for my tank bag. They live under there most of the time. You've all seen my Delcovic exhaust. I added the Camel clutch extender, which I really like. A few people have asked me how the foot pegs are going. They're absolutely fine. A little bit more grip. I did have to double someone last week, so I put the pillion pegs back on. So that's about all that's changed since then. Other than that, it's got a little auxiliary feed here for my tank bag, which has a USB in it to charge things up. At the moment, I'm just wearing out this set of Michelin Starcross 5 hards on the front. I have not enjoyed them. The Ral Z Motos Tractionator Ral Z 140/80 on the rear is now just about gone. So that lasted about 3,500–4,000 kilometers before it started getting worn out, and now it's done another 500 or 600 kilometers. It's pretty much cactus. I'll be going to that back tire again, but I'll go back to the Pirelli on the front. And I thought, you know, while we're having a look at all the problem areas that people talk about, you know, my shock has been to the desert 3 times. It's carried my gear. I'm not particularly heavy. I'm 69 kilos, but not a drip, not a drama. I rarely have to adjust it. Only when I've got all my baggage on, I wind it up 1 or 2 turns on the preload. Similarly on the front, I've got it pretty much set in comfort settings. All my preloads are off, and the front is not harsh, works very well, and the bike's been great. One of the other things that people are talking about is potential issues with the clutch. So I thought I would just rip it off and have a look and show you what it's like at 20,000k's, and we can all have a look together. Alright, so let's have a look and see inside first of all. So there's a puddle of oil sitting in my inlet, so I know that oil's coming in. I can see it dripping there. I can see it is actually sitting in the bottom of my clutch. So without pulling anything further apart, I can already tell that there's oil flowing. My clutch itself is quite dry. They're not a wet bath type clutch. But let's pull it apart now, lay it out, and have a look piece by piece. So let's just have a look there. So here's my outer clutch plates, which are for the slipper clutch. So they're a smaller plate. You can actually see oil on the bottom, which was the bottom section of this one. There's no discoloration. There's nothing else amiss there. And we're down to the bigger plates, which again have oil down the bottom. So I'm being careful to turn these around and make sure that they go back in the same direction. But you can see that they're identical on both sides. No discoloration. And I won't go all the way down, because once you got to this point, you're down to your main clutch pack. They get a bit harder to get to. It's oily on the bottom sections, nothing amiss at the top. Just get the light in, have a good look. So the colouring is all correct. As I said, oily down the bottom. You can see the oil. So these are all very good. There's nothing amiss. And this is a 20,000 kilometre clutch. So feels good. Alright, I don't think we need to go any further than that. Other than that, everything inside is spick and span, looking great. So you can see on the side that there's no chattering or marks or anything weird on the edges of the plates. They're very good. There's no notching. It's a very smooth clutch with the camel arm on it. It's alright, I'll put that back together. Alright, so I've got my torque wrench set here for the final tightening of the 3 bolts to 10 Newton meters. So it's important to get these right. And also you'll notice that there's a yellow line and a yellow mark on the outer clutch plate, which is the different clutch plate, and it goes in the different slots to all the rest of the clutch plates, and that's your slipper clutch slot. So you need to make sure when you put it all back together that there's just that little bit of movement, that you can tell everything is in, everything is tight, the plates and everything are right before you tighten any of this down. And so one of the things that you do need to double check is that when you're finished, you actually have some slack down here, down at the clutch end, which translates into movement up here before there's any engagement of your clutch. So you have to have some free play. You adjust it there first, and then you've got some adjustment here, but you also don't want to adjust it so tight down the bottom that you don't have any adjustment left up here, because if it gets hot and you want to get a little bit more, that's where mine starts engaging. If you want to get a little bit more, you want to make sure that you've got some up here which is quick to adjust, rather than having to muck around with the other end. So yeah, just a little bit of a tip. The pre-filters work really well. I occasionally just change and clean the pre-filters because nothing's got through. If I've just been doing a dusty trail with Neil or some of the other boys and not been keeping too close. The other day I got caught in the rain and came home, and it was quite interesting to see. I actually had to stand up to get into enough wind to wash the mist off my visor. When I was sitting down in normal position, unlike the normal fairing, I wasn't getting any wind on my helmet, so it really just showed how much of a bubble I'm sitting in here with the new MST setup. It also braces back down here, down to the positions where the bars were, that comes up to your fairing, so it ties this and these two places where it goes onto the posts onto your frame together with aluminium, and really firms up the front end. There's no wiggle when you're off-road. Nothing is moving around at all. I've got my indicators set so that if they get hit, they just fold back. So it's pretty robust up the front there. I'm running the ProGrip 791 grips, waffle on the back, and just good grip on the front, and I've just replaced those. Well worth it to have good grip in my personal opinion. And I've got the bark busters on for a bit of added security. So that's pretty much it for the bike. Like I pointed out, I've got the B&B bash plate, the rad guard, radiator guard on it. I've got a set of graphics coming for it, and a cover for the windscreen, for the headlights, which will finish off the windscreen area. And then it's ready for the rally season coming up, now that it's starting to cool down a little bit. I personally run the Plantronics Bluetooth noise cancelling headset, the Backbeat Go 210s or something. And you've got your on-off button there, and then I control volume and tracks on the dash. And I run the Nishua carbon fibre helmet, which is super light, super comfy, and well ventilated. It's not a summer helmet, it's not a motocross helmet, it's an adventure riding helmet. It's got a couple of issues. The little screws on the side rattle a little bit after a while. Once in a while you got to tighten the top screw, but works very well in combination with everything else. So I've got to say, it's actually running better than it was. It's doing everything I want it to do. I haven't had to do anything extraordinary to the suspension other than set it to my settings. Most of the time, you'll be aware I run these pegs to have a little bit of protection, or a little bit of stability for the back of my boots, and these bars are usually on there for my throw over saddlebags, but I've got these off to give them a paint up and make them look pretty again for the season. A little look at the 390.
pretty much the same kind of dash. ABS, various settings, my ride. Orange tank version, this one. Brand new, so don't really do much on it. Very much keeping with the look of it. Obviously lighter, quite a lot lower. The riding mode that I was in there was stopping it from spinning quite a lot. Traction control. Yeah, interesting. It's not going to rip your arms off, but goes alright.